Hi there. My name is Irene, and I am a podcast host for This Mindful Muse, a podcast. I am an Akashic Records reader, a quantum healer, and a hypnotherapist. Today, we are going to talk about the Akashic Records and do a little Q&A session. What are the Akashic Records? Well, it's a very interesting question. The Akashic Records are considered to be the energetic imprint, file, or record of every thought that has ever been thought, every word that has ever been spoken or written, every action that has ever occurred, every event that has come to completion. The concept behind the Akashic Records is that all of these occurrences have a unique vibrational frequency, and that this unique vibrational frequency is a way to tap into that information. And so if an Akashic Records reader is able to elevate their vibration to that record, then they should be able to engage with that information and ask questions. Although the Akashic Records do not exist in a 3D, dimensional reality as a physical place, it can be really helpful for those of us experiencing this 3D embodied lifetime to kind of conceptualize it as a physical place, to think about them like a library. So if you were to visit a library and they were to have multiple floors of information, depending on what you were looking for, there may be a particular floor of the library, right, in terms of dimensions that you would want to get to in order to engage with that information. There also may be a particular section that you would want to look at. It is my personal belief that anyone can learn how to read the records or to access their own Akashic Records. However, just like learning any skill, it can take a lot of practice. It can take normalizing the nervous system, and it's very, very helpful to go through a training process to build your confidence. So I'm certified as a level 1 practitioner to read for myself and a level 2 practitioner to read for other people. And this ensured for myself that I was in ethical alignment with the Akashic Records, and I was learning from someone who was very experienced and highly qualified to instruct me on how to enter and read the Akashic Records. I decided to learn how to read the Akashic Records after having received an Akashic Records reading myself. This reading was mind-blowing. It was very much in alignment for me. It offered a lot of insight, context, and healing for me, and it was life-changing. I had been interested in the Akashic Records for a few years building up to that point in time. I had even been reading a book about the Akashic Records, and I was following different creators surrounding the subject matter. And there was one creator who was offering to do readings, and I felt my spirit team push me in that direction. More than a gentle nudge, more than a whisper in the ear. Girl, it is time. And I followed that really loving, supportive momentum. And after that reading, I realized that that was a modality that I wanted to learn how to offer clients myself, because I really do believe that as we heal ourselves, we heal the collective. And I know that I benefited from that healing, and I would love to be able to offer that for people as well as a practitioner. Every reader's experience in the records is going to be slightly different because we're all coming from unique perspectives. So for me, when I enter the records, I envision approaching a reception desk. There is a group of unconditionally loving, supportive, intelligent librarians who know where everything is kept. And they want to know how they can best assist me so that I can get the information that I'm here to get. And so for me, it feels like building a relationship with the keepers of the knowledge. and for me to help share with them what it is that I'm looking for, and for them to pull those files or those films or those sound bites or those experiences, right? In order for me to have access to that information. And then I'm going to be downloading that information in one particular way or another, and then I'll be able to share what I've been downloading with the person that I am reading for. There is no one kind of person who asks for an Akashic Records reading. I think there may be the perception that it's only for woo-woo spiritual types, but it's not. It's also for folks who are simply seeking support and guidance. It's for folks who are looking for actionable steps if they're feeling stuck in their life. It's for people who are seeking confirmation. It's for people who are seeking understanding and further context. So it really runs the gamut in terms of who is interested. Now, there may be a particular population that has had access to hearing about the Akashic Records, but I have found that across the board, there are people of various walks of life, of various generations, of various life experiences who are interested in learning more about themselves from a source creator point of view. And that's what the records are here to help do, to serve humanity. I think every reader has varying skill sets and in terms of abilities. And so if we were to think of a stovetop and we were to think about all these different burners and the turn knobs, right, in order to crank them up to a certain level of heat, we might imagine that all of these kind of different skill sets may be at a slightly different temperature. So that may include visions, that may include auditory information, that may include body sensations, or simply an inner knowing. For me as a reader, the burners that are a little more cranked up, very clear visions, body sensations, and an inner knowing. Those are the clearest for me. The way that I prepare for a reading is multi-step. 24 hours, 48 hours before a reading, there are certain foods and drink that I will or won't engage with. There's certain media that I will or won't engage with. And so there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. When it comes to the day itself, the event itself, there is a cleansing ritual. There are lots of prayers and protection. And then there is also a prayer to enter into the Akashic Records. A reading can look like a lot of different things. However, across the board, the energy is always from a place of unconditional love, guidance and support, and non-judgment. So that is the energetic starting point for every single thing that occurs in a reading. Unconditional love, guidance and support, and non-judgment, right? So whether we are connecting via email and then I'm going to record myself in a live Zoom where I'm connecting, asking questions, and then I'm verbally saying what I'm getting, I'm expressing what is coming through, what sensations, what messages that I'm receiving on your behalf, then I would record that session, send that to you with a very full and detailed email write-up of everything that occurred. Or if it's happening live, then we would be connected live. We would be having a conversation via Zoom, and then that would also be recorded. And so you would be asking a question, I would connect and ask on your behalf. I would be expressing auditorily, verbally, what I am getting through the records. And then after the session, again, I would send you the recording, and then I would send you a very detailed write-up of the questions, of the answers, and of all the information that came through. I tend to ask folks who are approaching me for a reading to share with me in a question format a category in their life where they could use further information, context, guidance, support, etc. And this is because, let's say, for example, you were going to use a search engine it would be most helpful for you to enter all of that into a question format. That's going to give you way more information than if you just simply put in one word, right? So in order for me to ask a question so that the librarian is able to go and pull that information for me, I've got to get very specific. Once I know that kind of category, which has now been summarized in the form of a question, I can ask a number of follow-up questions surrounding that in order to get further details, in order to kind of squeeze all the juice, right, out of the grape that I'm being given. And so this is my way of approaching questioning in the Akashic Records. Yes, you can absolutely see into past lives in an Akashic Records reading. It has absolutely happened for myself and for folks that I was reading for. And I will say that I always trust that whatever comes through the records is meant to come through. Now, what goes hand in hand with that is that whatever doesn't come through is not yet at this time meant to come through. And so we trust divine timing. We trust the keepers of the knowledge. We trust that they know what our higher selves and what our embodied selves can handle at this point in time and what is going to be most appropriate, most helpful, most healing for us to experience and see and hear and learn about. I love quantum healing. I have been fortunate to be a receiver of quantum healing and to be a practitioner. And I will say something that makes it so unique when it's connected through the Akashic Records is that you have access to so much information and context. And so if something is in someone's energetic field, their mind showing up in their body as an ailment or their spirit, you have access to understanding, where does this originate from? Is this from something that occurred in this life? Is this generational trauma? Is this from a physical situation, accident, injury, a belief, a past life, a parallel life? So we've got access to context. And then once we understand where it came from, we can get information about, is this something that can be released? Then we can get information about how can this be healed or released? And so there's this step-by-step guidance that the Akashic Records can walk you through in order to assist in the quantum healing. I highly recommend it. If something comes up in an Akashic Records reading that feels as if it is something that can be healed, then I love to use quantum healing for it. The write-up. Well, if you haven't noticed, I'm a little long-winded. I really like to include detail. And so the write-up is an incredibly detail-oriented description of everything that occurs in the reading session. And so that will include the questions that the seeker, the person that I am reading for, has sent to me. It will include my interpretations of what occurred in the records, my experiences. What did I see? What did I hear? What were messages that I received? What were physical sensations that I experienced? All of that will be very detail-oriented and written out for them so that then they can review that. They can look over it and engage with it. Additionally, they are going to be sent a video recording of the Akashic Records reading. And so if it's pre-recorded, I will have been live in that actual session on my own and send them that recording. So they'll be able to watch me from the outside perspective in the records doing the reading, asking the question, and then audibly saying what I'm experiencing. Then I'm going to kind of go back, summarize, right? I'm going to rewatch that recording and I'm going to type up everything that occurred for me internally so that that person has a lot of context and information for their own healing journey after the session so that they can continue to re-engage with this content, for this material, for the highest good and the highest purpose of their own healing. Well, I hope that if you feel drawn to have an Akashic Records reading, that if it feels in alignment for you and you feel drawn to me as a reader, that you will feel empowered to book a session. If you're simply curious about Akashic Records readers, I trust that you will find the right practitioner at the right time. And if this isn't in alignment for you, that's okay. There are so many other healing modalities that are waiting to support you from the perspective of unconditional love. So wherever you are in that spectrum, thank you so much for stopping by. And I'll see you around. Bye.